A lot of self-serving memoirs tonight, and I want to read from somebody who's worried about somebody else for a change. This is Backstreet Mom. It's by Denise McLean. She's the mother of A.J. McLean, the Backstreet Boys. She is the president of their fan club. The meet and greets were the other fan-related job that I got to deal with on a daily basis. At every show, usually before the boys hit the stage, we lined girls up in narrow hallways or in extra rooms. Once the boys were dressed and ready to go on stage, they came out to meet the girls, take pictures, and sign autographs for them. Many times there would also be terminally ill children or children in wheelchairs for the boys to meet. That was very difficult for them to handle. Sometimes they cried when they saw the children. Naturally, this was not the best mood generator that the boys could have before going on stage. To alleviate the pressure on the boys, we were forced to qualify the degree of sickness with which a child could get into the meet and greet. Oh, this may sound like a cruel thing to do, but we really had no choice. If the boys became too emotional before a performance, it could set a mood that could last for a long while into the show. That was not fair to the rest of the audience. We would compensate the fans who did not get in to see the boys by sending them something personally autographed by the boys, and that usually sufficed. Occasionally, Jive or some of the magazines ran contests, and very sick children would be given the chance to meet the boys. We finally had to put a kibosh on that. We gave them autographed shirts or albums instead. Part of my job was to somehow make nice with everyone. Oh, I usually found a way to please. After all, the boys' reputations were always on the line. Another fun thing I got to do with regards to the meet and greet schedule was that at every show I would choose some fans to come backstage and help me out with translation, among other things. They helped collect the hundreds of stuffed toys the audience threw on stage during every performance. The stuffed toys and gifts were a new phenomenon. We always arranged for the stuffed animals to be donated to an orphanage or children's hospital. Otherwise, the promoters would just throw them away. Most of the stuffed toys were either brand new or keepsakes that really meant something to the fans. There was just no way we could take them all with us. In good conscience, I could never bring myself to just throw them away. Each one also had a note or a letter attached that I kept on our fan database. Those boys really enjoyed reading them. The toys that the girls threw on stage eventually became a hazard for the boys because they would trip on them during the choreography. More than once, they fell and almost twisted an ankle or sprained a knee. We asked the fan club volunteers to go on stage after the opening acts were done to ask the audience in their own language to throw all the toys on the stage at the same time so that we could make sure we collected them properly and then gave them to each boy. These poor volunteers were bombarded. They took big brooms and pushed the toys to the sides of the stage, where they could then be bagged and taken to the boys' dressing room. It was a noble effort that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. There were still those die-hard girls who saved their toys to throw at their favorite boy while he was performing. But at least the major threat for broken ankles was eliminated. For quite a long time, the boys wrote response letters to each fan as part of their weekly schedules. Eventually, the number grew so large that it became impossible for them to answer each and every one, so we responded from the fan club. I still divided the gifts among the boys. We shipped lots of boxes filled with toys, cards, and gifts home during these tours. The luggage bins under our buses filled up pretty quickly, so keeping the toys on the road with us was never an option. The other thing we found strange was the way that fans responded to the magazine articles that were written about the boys. For example, if a boy was asked what their favorite gift was, and say Alex responded, jewelry. Well, forget it. That would be enough for fans to start throwing bananas onto the stage with rings or bracelets wrapped around them. More than once, my son was pelted in the face or body by a fine piece of jewelry tied to some fruit. He learned how to duck and be very alert while on stage. This was especially true if he got near the edge, where they could better target him. I remember several welts on his forehead from rings and chains. One time the boys were asked what their favorite foods were. At the very next concert, right after the article came out, they were inundated with boxes of mac and cheese for Brian, gummy bears for Howie, and so on for the rest of the boys. The gummy bears are soft, but when you throw them hard, they hurt. What a trip! We got to the point where things were confiscated at the door before the kids were let into the venue. After all, someone could really get hurt by some of those things. I was always grateful that they couldn't bring cheeseburgers into the venue. Alex would have been covered in them every night. Not pretty.